So there's a ceasefire deal, and we're not too happy and not too comfortable about it. So let me just talk a little bit about the ceasefire and what I see happening and possibly happening psychologically, politically, militarily, and also about the unique phase, the unique state of Western colonialism we're at right now, because this is also very interesting. Um, I'm going to start with the ceasefire. First, we are not too happy about the ceasefire because I'm going to put it into words. We know what Israel is and what Israel is about. And we have no trust for Israeli promises or obligations. So we kind of know, and I personally know, I don't assume and I don't guess, Israel is going to do something terrible, obnoxious, inhumane, sadistic, and murderous in the coming days. This I know. It's not a guess. This is how Israel operates. So we can't be too happy about the ceasefire, and we also don't know if this signifies the end of the genocide. Again, Israel must not be trusted, and the U.S. must not be trusted. So we can't be too happy about it, except on a very, I don't know, very basic human level, which is important and it's okay, but it's not my focus. I'm looking at the bigger picture, the political picture, which is also always the most important thing about anything, really. So we can't trust Israel, and we don't know where this is going. But there's another dimension to it. This, if we wanna sum up what happened until now, apart from the heartache and tragedy and how traumatized we all feel about this, there is a complex, a composite picture of what happened, because militarily and culturally and morally, Hamas is the clear victor of this conflict, of this tragedy, of this cycle of catastrophe that is part of Zionism. Hamas won. Hamas were not uh, destroyed, defeated, disintegrated, okay, removed from existence. On the contrary, Hamas is powerful. It is fighting, it is killing Israeli soldiers, it is recruiting new members, and it has gained so much sympathy around the world for the Palestinian cause and for Hamas and the way it handles itself. This is a big no-no. We can't say it in the West. We are not supposed to think it. We are not supposed to see it, but we know it. But this is not the whole picture, because politically, Israel is winning. Politically, Israel is winning. Now, this doesn't mean that Israel is going to be able to contain this forever. It doesn't mean that. It means that politically, not enough has been done to take away Israel's victory in this. It's a very sad and pathetic and disgusting victory, because it managed to kill maybe 100,000 people or more. We don't know the precise numbers. We don't know them. And nevertheless, not enough was done in terms of the international legal action, international reaction by other countries. Not enough was done to stop Israel, which is the most important thing, not just stop the genocide, stop its ability to do violence against its neighbors in the Middle East. So not enough was done about this. So This is a big problem. So we have Hamas winning the day in terms of staying alive and staying on their feet and fighting and gaining a world of popularity all over, in every continent, in every city, in every street. People get it now. People get Zionism. People get Gaza. People get the occupation and the apartheid like they never did before. So this aspect is a clear win for Hamas, but this hasn't translated yet into political meaningful action and consequences. And we have to be aware of this. Um, this is part of why I'm saying we shouldn't be celebrating this ceasefire. We should be focused very heavily on political action, and every branch of the resistance of the protest movement, wherever they are, and what country they're in, what city or region they're in, where they act on the street level, on legal action level, on the BDS, whatever it is that you're doing and we're doing, we should we should up the game. We should up our game and intensify the struggle against Zionism and Zionist expansion and Zionist violence and Zionist supremacy, and Zionist impunity. We have to be very clear and resolute. These are the two words I've used most, maybe since this began. Clarity and resolve. We need to be very clear about what's happening, what is being achieved, and what has not been achieved yet. And resolute about doing stuff and being committed mentally, politically, psychologically, in every way possible to achieving this goal. So this is why this ceasefire is kind of bittersweet, and it's more bitter than sweet because we are not going anywhere in terms of Palestine and Palestinian liberation, and the genocide is not over. And Israel still has a lot of power to destroy Palestinian lives and Syrian life and Lebanese life and Egyptian lives and Jordanian lives and so on and so on. Israel is such a poison pill for the Middle East or West Asia, as we now like to call it, and for the whole world, basically. It is such a destructive political entity, a black hole that is swallowing so much of humanity's hopes and dreams and happiness and joy. Zionism is just murdering all of this. And the US can still force this bizarre, grotesque, and disconnected vision of things, right? Blinken is talking in a press conference, laying out all the yada yada that we know. We've done this, we've achieved that, we told Israel this, and they did that, and this was improved. All the idiocy that we've heard so many times before. But it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do this forever. They won't. They won't be able to do this forever because although the resistance on a wider political level hasn't achieved its goals yet, or like a serious traction in terms of stopping Israel, okay? It is building. Consciousness is building. It will be translated into action. It is happening. It is not happening fast enough or big enough at this stage, but it is happening, and we need to nourish it, to foster it, to be strong and resolute and clear about this. So this is about the ceasefire. But the second subject I want to talk about, what I called self-cannibalization. Um, it is about where Western colonialism. Um, I'm smiling because I'm seeing this bubble over my head that this effect is causing. Um, I'm no angel, by the way. We need to look at, and this is a general rule. When things like this ceasefire happen, okay, and we are not sure what is the meaning of this, and they do this to us all the time. This is part of the psychological warfare they wage against us. They want us on edge and uncertain, and this weakens us so much because when you can't read the picture, you can't react almost in a meaningful and impactful way because you don't know where you are and you don't know what's happening and you don't want to sound ridiculous. So we become like smaller and we shut ourselves in because we can't really read reality because they lie to us. Okay, they create this huge cloud of lies and deceptions. And this is one of the main goals. This is something I've been saying consistently since the beginning of the genocide. This is one of the biggest aims, keeping us in the dark and blind. Um, so when they are trying to pull something like this off, when we feel we can't read what's really going on, we need to remember what we do know with certainty. And we do know what Israel is and what Israel is about. And we do know what the US is and what the US is about. And if we keep these simple facts in our head, this is going to be such a huge help. We won't get confused. We won't get confused. We will know that what we should be focused on is not trying to figure out what they're doing, but taking away the power they have to shape reality and its representation and consciousness. When we have this focus, we don't get confused. And it doesn't really matter what they try to pull off because we know what they are. And we know what they're doing in terms of the big story, which is the most important thing. So, in terms of this big story that I'm talking about, this is really, really beautiful. This makes me think Western colonialism has entered its final terminal stage. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. If you looked at all the statements made by Trump and people around him about Canada, about Greenland, okay, about Europe, what Europe has to do and has to pay and has to comply with, okay, you can see, and this also relates to what Israel is doing in a way I'm going to explain in a minute how it is related. But Western colonialism is in its current phase, which has been going on for a long time. We just didn't see it. So I'm now saying it, seeing it, and saying it. And I hope you agree with me and also see it. Western colonialism cannot expand anymore into what it thinks about as the savage lands, the native lands, native territories. It cannot expand anymore. Logistically, politically, militarily, economically, in terms of manpower and what it can muster, in terms of military, it can't do it. But expansion is at the heart of Western colonial consciousness. This is the core. They need to expand. Economically, they always need to expand. The stock market needs to expand and grow all the time in a very absurd way that doesn't ring true in any way. but still it has to expand. They have to expand. They have to expand into new territories, new minds, new activities, new everything. They have to expand. But the most important aspect of expanding is territorial. Territorial, and people have to be in it, okay? Because humiliating other people and exploiting them and murdering them is the biggest satisfaction of colonialism. But Western colonialism can't do it anymore. And if you look at, but still it has this instinct, this impulse, this drive, okay, to dominate, to expand, to destroy, to exploit. But it has nowhere new, nowhere else. It has reached its limits. The US cannot take Africa now. Okay? It can topple governments, and it did that. It can exploit, it can bribe, it can assassinate, and it has done all of this and more. But now Africa is emerging out of this colonized state, and it's taking a long time, and it has been doing this for a long time, and the US tried to sabotage this process for a long time, not just the US, the UK and France and other countries. But you get a sense that Africa is getting stronger politically in terms of its ability to have a will of its own and act on it, make policy and strategy out of it. So the US can't expand into Africa. The Middle East is difficult, and I'm going to talk about it in a second when I talk about Israel. But they have nowhere to go. And still they have this drive. So what we're doing, this is the self-cannibalization I'm talking about. What Western colonial powers are doing, they are re-colonizing already colonized territories. Now, this is something to think about. If you look at what they're doing, talking about Greenland, talking about Canada, but expanding into Greenland and Canada. I mean, Greenland and Canada. There's a siren outside. Don't mind it. They're already white. They are part of the colonial system. They are in the column of things they already have, but they want to recolonize them, okay, and make them more efficient or more complete parts of the colonial assets list. But they already have Canada and Greenland. These are white countries. They are part of the colonial West to this degree or that degree. It doesn't matter. Same with Europe. The US is trying to humiliate Europe, to destroy the European economies, to force European countries to do things that will benefit the US. But Western Europe is also already colonized by the US, and it's also already part of the Western colonial system. This is not gaining new territory. This is recolonizing. This is self-colonizing. This is self-cannibalization, because this is the sick Western mindset. This is what they did in India. This is what they did in Africa and other countries. They invade the place. They take over everything and exploit and destroy the place, destroy the balance of existence in that place, and then they leave. And now they're doing the same thing, but in places that are already colonized and a part of this system. So they are taking Europe, which is already traumatized, completely traumatized, and on the brink of, it could be pushed into economic collapse and cultural collapse and political collapse. It is so unstable. but they are pushing it to do more and more and more, to be a more complete slave of the US and its interests. But they are destroying Europe. They are not building it. They are cannibalizing territories and assets they already have. This is the terminal phase of Western colonialism. They can't expand, but they can't let go of this drive, this impulse to expand, to exploit, to dominate. And now they are doing it to their own societies. What if you think about the Trump's vision? I mean, this political camp that is behind Trump, the biggest vision is to recolonize the US itself, to reshape it into this crusader camp. This is what they have in their vision, to destroy all the strongholds of so-called liberalism, which we know what it's worth, right? We saw in the genocide. Nevertheless, they want to destroy it and to reshape it into this colonial endeavor, this crusader camp, as I call it. And they are doing it in the US. They are doing it in Australia. They are forcing Australia to buy submarines and create facilities for submarines and to be prepared for war. I mean, this is so idiotic. Who's going to go to war with Australia? What is this insanity? What is this even about? Look at the map. Who's going to go to war with Australia and New Zealand? I mean, the insanity. The freaking insanity. But this is what the US is doing to all its colonies. It is recolonizing them and trying to extract more of them. But they don't have much more to give. This whole system is about to collapse. They can't extract more resources, human or natural resources or economic resources. It is all exploited to the full. Still, they go on and do that. And a very good example of this principle, what I'm describing, this terminal phase of colonialism, is Israel itself. The Zionist movement, with the help of the international banking system, all the combined billionaires of an entire century, almost, they have been trying to colonize Palestine for over a century. And they can do it. They have occupied Gaza in 1967, and it remained occupied to this day. And they had to recolonize it 100 times. Every time they have to make a new operation, a new war, a new genocide. And it's not helping. Even this genocide, Israel cannot expand. It cannot expand into Syria and Lebanon. The resistance won't let it. It wants to. It kind of wants to. It is a dream and a fantasy, and some Israelis, religious fanatics, really dream that this would happen. But it can't really do it. So what it does instead is recolonize and recolonize and recolonize the same places again and again and again and again. This is a very crippled and sick and twisted manifestation or incarnation of Western colonialism, where it can't expand, but it can't let go. They are hooked up on humiliation and murder. They need it. They need it. It's almost like a drug to them. They need to humiliate and kill and murder people all the time. And they can never become, whatever they do, they can never become this dream that they have, this biblical conqueror or crusader or Columbus or or Cortez, or whatever they have in mind, is stupid, pathetic, infantile, stupid notion that they have, that they want to be. And they can't be it because there's enough resistance to stop them, because they have reached the limits of their expansionism and they can't expand anymore. Um, so this is where we are right now, and we should see it. It should give us courage. Okay, it should encourage us. Um, One last thing about it, another sign, okay, another sign that tells us that Western colonialism cannot expand anymore. Um, they can't even fight themselves. Okay, the U.S. can't fight anymore. The U.S. went into Vietnam to fight the Soviet Union, but it didn't go into Ukraine to fight Russia. It used Ukrainian collaborators to fight Russia. And this is the same thing has happened in Syria. The US can't go into Syria and fight in Syria. A generation ago, they went to Iraq and Afghanistan and tried to colonize them, but it didn't work. So now they can't even do that. They can only use traitors and collaborators in places on the front line of colonialism to try to accomplish their vision. But this fails more and more. We saw what happened in Georgia, right? Georgia, the country. They tried to install their president, their French president, and it didn't work. They're trying to do this in Romania now with the president, the election, the American base, and maybe they're going to be able to pull it off, but it's difficult. And Israel is doing the same in Jenin with the Palestinian Authority, which has become not become, it always was. Okay, maybe not always. Maybe the first couple of years were different, but for many years they are just subcontractors of Zionism for Zionism. So Israel uses them to try to colonize Jenin, the refugee camp, and the U.S. and its partners in Israel and Syria are creating fake, like we don't see it and we don't know, fake terrorist organizations to operate on their behalf because they can't fight themselves anymore. Israel cannot expand even into Lebanon. Hezbollah is enough to stop Israel and to bleed it and to damage it. So this inability to expand and this growing reliance on collaborators and traitors and the complete loss of momentum. There's no momentum. I mean, Trump is trying to fake it with Greenland and Canada. But as I said, Greenland and Canada is just as American and colonial as New Jersey and Houston. But he's trying to create this false idea of momentum, colonial momentum, and American expansion. But it is nonsense. It's not true. They can't expand anymore. They can't expand, and they can't stop trying to expand, which is consuming all of the West's energy and power and economic abilities and energy. The West is depleted. Europe is depleted. We are one serious economic downturn from the West collapsing entirely and ceasing to exist as a great political entity. This is all it takes. If we have a stock market crash in the US and serious recession in Europe, that's it. It's over. This project is over. The Europe, when it fights for the survival of its own people, and it has this consciousness where people can hardly allow themselves to purchase the food they need and the lodging they need. When Europeans become pressured economically and politically, they're not going to throw billions and billions of dollars into NATO. How does it make sense? They are going to discover this partnership with the US, so-called partnership, okay? It's a domination, subjugation type of thing. It's not helpful for them. It makes no sense for them. And already we are seeing signs of this happening in Germany and elsewhere. So if an economic crash does happen, when it happens, people in Europe are going to start asking questions. Why do we have so many American bases in Germany and Spain and all those other countries? Can we afford this kind of adventurism and stupidity? How does it serve us? Does it do us any good? And the answer is going to be obviously not. And also the US, when it is already unable to economically support this crazy political system, monstrous political system it created. It can't support it. It is running huge deficits. And this is why the fake money and the fake asset bubble it created still functions and still holds value. But when this breaks, when the air comes out of this balloon, how will the US support its 800 bases around the world? Where will it bring the money it needs to create all this war apparatus? What will it say to Americans, to civilians, to American civilians who are going to be thrown into economic hardship, like serious hardship? It will tell them we have to go to war with Russia now. This is what we have to do. We have to go to war with Iran. We have to go to war with China. How are they going to be able to afford it? So if you want to take comfort in something, I think that the big picture is more positive than the small details, the small picture, the very sad picture, the very tragic picture of Gaza, which is so close to our heart. So we know we can trust Israel, and we know we shouldn't trust Israel, and we mustn't trust Israel and the US. And we know how disgusting and murderous their intentions are. But we also know that the resistance now is stronger than ever, the political and cultural resistance. It has to grow. And we also know that the white Western colonial capitalist West is reaching the end of its days. This completely insane, parasitical, vampirical political structure and political arrangement is so unsustainable. It is already breaking, and we can see it. We can see that its projected power is mostly fake. And every country that stands up to this power and tells the US, no, we are not going to do your bidding, it's going to most probably win the day.